Good evening. Welcome to the first day of spring. It's Thursday, March 20th, 2025. The overall energy that I'm picking up today, the key word is borders, boundaries. The energy has built up to such a level as we're going into spring that the division and separation, I'm hearing lines, battle lines drawn. The battle lines they've become very clear. It's very easy to see. It's so much easier to differentiate between what's what and who's who. The energy has accumulated. It has intensified, built up so much that anything that is unhealed, impurities, I'm thinking of impurities coming up to the surface, like when you're making a potted chicken broth or something, or purifying metal, purifying gold. There's been an extreme purification process going on. In the collective as a whole, we have felt this purification energy taking place in our own bodies and our minds. And many of us have taken action to eat less junk or drink less junk, or whether it be actual food or entertainment or association or anything in our environment. It could even be clutter. Resolving clutter issues. Just a general energy of making things cleaner, neater, more organized. We felt this energy in our own bodies, but we've also reflected this energy. We've emanated this purification type of an energy into our surroundings, and it's motivated us to make changes inside and out. This purification energy has been necessary because outside we see it as this division, disagreements, superficial differences. In the world, people have been fighting over superficial differences. As this energy from the sun has been increasing since last April until now a year has gone by. I saw the number 365, and the way I saw it was the 3 on the left for March, and then the 20th and the left side of 2025 is 20. So 20 plus 20 is 40. And then we're left with the 25 on the right side of 2025. The 25 on the right half of 2025. So 40 plus 25 is 65. So 365 is what I'm seeing. The energy that I'm getting when I think of 365, it reminds me that life is like a spiral. The experiences are like a spiral. We don't just go around and round in circles. It's like we're climbing a stairway. We're learning more and more. Every time we go around, every time we have an anniversary, we've had that many more days of insight. Every time we come back around another year, we've received more insight. So we're not just going around in circles. we're actually climbing at the same time. So it's more like a spiral. Each day has its own unique insights built into it. And around this time last year, we were approaching the Great North American Solar Eclipse. And that eclipse really kicked off. It prepared us for an awakening, and we are feeling that now. Over the past several weeks, the energy has intensified so much and sped up so much. And it was necessary in order to usher us into this energy that we're feeling today, going into spring. The key words that I'm feeling today have to do with boundaries, borders. Like, I'm even seeing battle lines. Like, the battle lines are very clearly drawn now. It's so easy now that there's enough light shed on things that were hidden in the shadows. There's enough light now to really see what's what and who's who. There's been so much confusion sown. The confusion tactics have intensified greatly, especially over the past several weeks. But this energy that's coming in today, we can feel it. It's like an opening. It's a clearing here. Feeling that the veil has been lifted. Something that was put up to keep us from being able to distinguish the truth from falsehood. And it's so important that you understand your truth. Your truth. Your own truth is extremely important in your life. There has been a veil put up to keep you from being able to clearly see your own truth. There have been circumstances and events that have been socially engineered to artificially lower your frequency so that you can't clearly see your own truth or your identity, your purpose, and your inheritance that's attached to your identity. And now we can clearly understand. We've begun to clearly understand the way this has happened has been by sowing all these separations and divisions and focusing us to focus on the separations and the divisions themselves instead of helping us to understand that they were really there to provide us with context, to understand the relationships between ourselves and each other, ourselves and the world, ourselves and the environment. And this understanding, we need this type of context as human beings living in a three-dimensional world and three-dimensional bodies. We need this in order to help us to understand, to help us to navigate physically through the world. But once we understand those things, and this understanding makes it possible for us to develop an appreciation. And we feel a strong gratitude for everything around us and the events that have happened and why they happened. Once we feel that gratitude, it raises our frequency. We've learned to appreciate the importance of drawing boundaries, creating boundaries, setting boundaries, communicating those boundaries. So today I'm seeing a very specific line. It's like a line in the sand that I'm seeing for today. It has to do with making a very important decision on where you're going with life. What are you doing with life? What are you no longer doing? Even deciding on a project or deciding on a way of being, whether it has to do with you as a person, more specifically with you as a person, like really deciding, understanding who you are, deciding to be true to yourself, and not only deciding to be true to yourself, but also communicating that truth that you know about yourself to the world moving forward. So that the way that you move through the world and the creations that you're bringing into the world reflects who you are today and not who you may have been 4 years ago, 10, 20 years ago. The decisions that you made 4, 8, 12, 20 years ago, the way you navigated through the results of those decisions, the consequences from those decisions, it was necessary for you to navigate through those and resolve. If those decisions resulted in blessings for you, or they resulted in hard circumstances for you, hard consequences for you, you've had time to really understand why. To learn the lessons in those blessings, and also any consequences from decisions that you made or events that you faced. How did you react to things that happened to you that were beyond your control? How did you act, or how did you react to things that happened to you that were beyond your control? We've had time to notice certain patterns repeat over and over and over again. But like I just mentioned earlier, it's not that we are going around in circles. Life is like a spiral. And every time you go back around, there's a certain duality there. You see it with more perspective. You see it from a higher perspective, and you also see it from a deeper perspective. And having that context, that depth. I'm seeing something about hindsight being 20/20. You're able to look back at similar circumstances that you may be facing again today, but you are facing those situations and circumstances with less information, with less maturity. And now you're able to look at these similar circumstances that remind you of something that happened in the past and make better decisions. Instead of reacting now, you're prepared for things. you're understanding the power of preparation. And as this energy has been increasing drastically since last year, what we see with all this fighting and division, the disagreements, we've seen all this fallout. And as the energy has been increasing on the planet, it has forced all of this to come up, like what happens when you're making a chicken broth. And as the water starts to get closer to boiling, how it pulls the impurities out of the chicken into the water, and it forms a raft on top. And that gives you an opportunity to really see what needs to be removed, because you don't want all that to disintegrate back into the broth. And that's what's been happening with humanity. The sun has been transmitting this energy, these codes, this divine information. It's enlightening us, causing us to see things and feel things that we weren't able to see and feel before, because you don't receive information, or you don't receive this type of enlightenment until you become a vibrational, energetic match for it. And so now we see things that in the past we may not have been able to see before, because it was just too painful, and maybe we blocked it out or we ignored it. And it ended up manifesting in our bodies as pain. As we pushed all this insight, these things that would have been insight and enlightenment, we pushed them into the shadows of our psyche, where they continue to fester and even manifest as inflammation in our bodies, inflammation even in our minds and behavior. And that's what we're seeing now in the world. The pot has figuratively gotten so hot that all these impurities are coming up to the surface, and it looks very murky and turbulent at this time being, but this allows for us to be able to see this raft that we can skim off, and we're experiencing this purification in the collective of humanity. This purification is happening all over. It's happening in our planet. It's happening in our minds and our bodies. We're becoming aware of things that we may have been eating that have been contributing to inflammation or autoimmune diseases, chronic pain, depression and anxiety. We're also becoming more aware of entertainment, different types of entertainment, and also our environment too, our associations. I'm thinking of, I always get confused if it's 1 Corinthians 15:33 or 2 Corinthians 15:33, but it's Corinthians 15:33. Do not be misled. Bad associations spoil useful habits. That's from the New World Translation. And that, it reminds me of like a bad apple spoils a whole bunch, or also if you're making a broth and you see the raft of impurities start to float on top, you really need to scoop the impurities off, scoop them off, so that the broth becomes purer. As the broth is becoming richer, as you scoop off the impurities, the raft on the top, it also becomes more refined and clearer. And that means it's going to be tastier as well. It's going to be a better broth. As we address anything that we are taking into our bodies, our minds, our environment as well, we're also purifying ourselves by, along with this word boundaries and borders, I'm thinking of like categorizing things, organizing things. I'm like into drawers, cabinets, so that anything you need is easy to find, or it creates more efficiencies in your life so that you're able to do more with less. There's less waste. This season that we're in right now, this is the season for giving birth to your creations now. And in order to do that, it requires more energy. So over the past 2-3 weeks especially, you may have felt the need to get more rest or stop what you're doing and organize, clean. And now you're understanding why it was so important, because you're beginning to see the results. And all of that hard work that you put in is making it easier for you to deal with all of the chaos and confusion going on in the world right now, because you begin to set boundaries and stick to those boundaries moving forward. It allowed you to feel optimistic for the future, knowing that you already invested time. You invested time and energy in things that would improve your odds of success. I'm seeing a coloring book. You know how, like, when we used to draw in coloring books, how we would take the crayon and then we'd draw along the borders first and then fill in the edges or shade in the edges. Most of us did not have fuzzy borders. Fuzzy borders is not something that we typically wanted. Now, I could see, like, artistically, there could be some times when you want the borders to be kind of shaded, kind of fuzzy, blended. But what I'm seeing right now is a coloring book, and you're coloring the edges and then filling it in. So by taking the time to set your boundaries, draw these borders that help you to get more clarity about the goal, the direction that you're headed, you can move forward with more optimism and confidence that things are going to turn out the way you want them to. So today is a very strong energy. It's about creative communication, about your boundaries. This is a very strong energy of drawing out a plan, a picture of what you would like to manifest in your life, what you'd like to bring into your life, and also into the collective, your creations. Today is a day to decide that you're going to work through any conflict that comes your way, working through the conflicts. You've decided to work through the conflicts knowing that you have everything that you need to resolve every aspect, each aspect of the conflict as it comes up. And now you know that you have the ability. You've honed this gift. It really is. Transmutation is a gift. To be able to experience any of these negatives, these negative energies, events and knowing what to do with it. I'm seeing, looking at it, feeling it both forwards and backwards. Today's energy, March 20th, would be 23, 3 plus 20. But once we add 9, the 2025 sum to 9, 23 plus 9 is 32. So I'm seeing 23, and then I'm seeing the reverse of it, 32. 23 is a number that it reminds me of like visions, visionary type energy. Imagining yourself to really go into your feelings, exploring your feelings, and also allowing your intuition to really run free. Exploring your feelings and your gut feelings. And whatever that brings out creatively for you. It's a daydream type energy, or even a lucid dreaming type energy where you are literally participating in this dream. You have some control over the dream, but the laws of physics are suspended. Time is suspended in this state. So you really, in this state, everything is possible. I'm thinking of the song, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. And we really are seeing this dual aspect to life. We see things in the physical, but before they exist in the physical, before they manifest into the physical, they are up there. We bring them down by the persistence of our thoughts and our actions that are aligned to those persistent thoughts. We have control over what we manifest into our lives, and collectively, as a collective on this planet, we all collectively influence what manifests on our planet. The way we behave on our planet, not just on an individual level or relationship level, family, county, state, country, geopolitically, the way we get along geopolitically, we notice that that also has an effect over the weather patterns even, and seismic activity. We are learning that it really is as above, so below. We're starting to see now what the scriptures mean when God says that God is bringing to ruin those who are ruining the earth. This is something that's built into the relationship between humankind and the planet. Humankind and the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the earth. And we can see how the earth, when the energies, when the way humans behave on the planet between each other or with the animal kingdom or the plant kingdom, the way countries get along with each other, the earth is conscious, the sun is conscious, everything is conscious. And the earth wants to keep itself clean. It wants to stay clean and pure and healthy. And just like the rain comes down to clear up the smoke, or the rain comes down to neutralize, wash away the negative energies. This happens on a global scale. It also happens on a cosmic scale. And this is what we're seeing play out right now. Especially, this is a really good time to be, this is a perfect time to be reminded of that as we go into spring. So congratulations if you've done the work to make changes, organize, clean, remove anything that's no longer serving you in your life. Removing anything that's holding you back or weighing you down, so that you can move through. This year is going to move through quickly. And by the time we're finished with this year, it's not going to look anything like the way that it did when we started. And you're going to be so happy that you invested the time and energy to follow through with this purification, so that you could transmute this negativity into something that's tangible and beneficial for yourself and for the collective.